What is up, everybody? It's Verdi here, and thank you so much for stopping by, ladies and gents. As always, we are on that mystic tangent we have been for the past 4 or 5 years. So today's video, the purpose of this video is actually very simple, guys. It is just to put a final thumb onto the class and just say, that's it, this is what I found, you know, just discuss the buffs and changes after playing, what, roughly 50 hours plus or more on different spots here and there. And that's the purpose of the video, just to go through the entirety of the changes and just say how this feels, and also to rate it. Now, just a few FAQs before we start this. When I play Succession Mystic over Awakening in PvE right now in this current situation, before any changes have been addressed for Awakening, absolutely yes, we'll see what the future holds, keep an eye open as always. Would I play Succession Mystic in PvP over Awakening Mystic? I would have to be a madman to do so. Awakening is so much better. It is miles, it is leagues ahead from Succession. It is just simply the better specialization due to the utility. The damage is awfully not that different, to be completely fair with you. And yeah, Awakening is just great. Awakening is just valuable for your team. So with that said, let's just talk about the changes, because, well, see, at first I was kind of mulling over them a little bit, because I was like, okay, PA don't know what they're doing with Suck Mystic. It is evident, either this or they're just going baby steps into a rework of the class, perhaps. I did not know, nobody knows, but fact of the matter is that Mystic was in a bad rough spot, and now she is in a good spot. How good of a spot? I would rank Mystic right now within the A tier, lowest A tier and highest A tier, and the spot pretty much dictates your performance. So for an example, on DSR, Suck Mystic is actually very good there. Can she pull those 50k numbers? I don't think in a lifetime she can, unless she gets lucky with the tides. But, you know, Tungrat Ruins, I've personally peaked with a 20 AP Node War buff to 3240, so there's that. Scratching above 30k is good, but is she a tamer that can go for 40k plus? No, she's not. And Orzikea was one of the pretty much those spots which show you how good the class factually is. Suck Mystic is not an Orzikea grinder. Even if you can grind there, that doesn't mean that it should, considering just Orzikea right now. Everybody is just waiting for Orzikea nerfs, and there will either be an Orzikea nerf, or there will be more power that makes Orzikea easier. We'll see which one, we'll see what the path PA choose in that place. But so just to go throughout the entirety of this video is to just speak about what Suck Mystic has right now as new issues, what issues were resolved, and most importantly, where must Pearl Abyss go in terms of addressing those issues. Like, which abilities must they address? Like, what must they do for the class to not really be an S tier, but rather find value into the spots and not just be an A tier somewhere within that range on a few spots, and then be just completely near unplayable in many others. So, as I said, just because Suck Mystic is good on DSR doesn't mean that she's a good class to play. If you're somebody in the mid game right now, just finishing your seasonal servers and, you know, getting this, playing Suck Mystic will not be the play for you. Unfortunately, there's just like 10 better classes and 10 better specializations so far ahead of her. So, just to give my full verdict on this, the buffs are good, but they're not that good. So, let's talk about what issues PA created, and which issues actually moved from the old Suck Mystic into the new Suck Mystic. So, with the changes to Sea Burial, basically Sea Burial no longer making the 3 spending, its damage has been reduced greatly because of this, obviously. And Sea Burial is unfortunately an ability that just lacks practicality outside of the initiation onto the mobs. It's a very cool thing what they've done with Sea Burial, that the range is increased after your dash. I think that's resolving one of the big issues for Suck Mystic, and that is the dependency on dashing into an elbow edge in order for you to get there, when elbow edge is just not a smart ability to begin the rotation with. So I think that's great. Sea Burial, however, is completely unusable. We're talking about there is not a single time where you should be using Sea Burial outside of some weird, you know, maneuvering between packs or mobs, you know, situational things. For a DPS-oriented class like Suck Mystic, which she still is, it's just that now she has some access to burst. Definitely Sea Burial just still falls off. Despite the rework, it is just an initiator, and it has always been an initiator prior to this. Like, there's nothing new about it. It's just that there's some utility which makes it jump a little bit further. So that said, let's talk about the big issue for Sec Mystic right now, and that is Rage Hammer. Rage Hammer currently is not that far up onto the damage compared to what Roaring Tiger is. It is actually under 1k. It's what? It's like 600 less damage than Roaring Tiger, and Roaring Tiger's AoE on 3 shards, and just hold on, let me just do this. Rage Hammer's AoE is just not that good to make the ability clickable. And not just this, but Roaring Tiger hits farther ahead in the cone. So Rage Hammer is currently in a situation where you only use it in DSR while you're in the middle of the packs, and then you move to something. Or if you're like someone, you know, someone like me who just wants to find use for the ability, as my own rotation kind of goes. And no other Mystic does this but me. Not that they should, it's just that I've chosen to go this route. I go with Sea Burial, Rage Hammer, and then I continue my rotation. Otherwise, I don't ever get to use the ability. It's just so weird, and the Rage Hammer issue goes into... Things go good into Rage Hammer. It's not that which is the issue. The issue with Rage Hammer is that nothing goes good outside of Rage Hammer. It just doesn't do anything. There's only one good ability that goes out of Rage Hammer properly, and that is Hidden Claw, but Hidden Claw is right now always cancelled with the last movements. For the last hits after a movement. So it's just not a thing that you want to use right now. Rage Hammer and Sea Burial are initiators that you forget about. And it's super weird to have a spender ability behave like this. And I think everybody would agree with me when I say that Rage Hammer needs to take some precedent over, hell, even I'm gonna say it, Wave Orb. I think Rage Hammer should be stronger than Wave Orb because, I don't know, it just makes sense for it, man. It's just my opinion, just my thoughts. It is the strongest AoE hitting ability that we have. Sorry, it's the widest and the most useful AoE ability that we have, but you cannot use it because it has some less damage, and the cone is more important because of the linkage from Rage Hammer. It is a conundrum bit for the Mystic community right now, what to do with Rage Hammer. And the best Mystics theory crafters out there are like, yep, just Rage Hammer when they simulated the rotation. The highest DPS rotation doesn't have Rage Hammer in it. And I agree with that. I knew that this was going to happen. I speak about it in my video. Rage Hammer is just simply bad. It's good damage, but bad DPS, as Lolzy says from the Mystic Discord. So, and I agree with that take. It's just reasonable. It is absolutely true. So, with that said, Rage Hammer and Sea Burial falling out. So, let's talk a little bit about PvP and why Sec Mystic isn't viable in PvP. Sec Mystic isn't viable because of one very simple thing. Awakening's viability got solidified when her shard generations got reduced from 3 shards to 1 and 2 for Wave Orb. So Sec Mystic doesn't need precisely this, rather she needs some very big excess shards generation, which happens whenever you get to fight people. However, when you're in the bulk of things, you do depend on your evasion debuff, which unfortunately is unprotected. As you can see, the evasion buff from our kick is just, it's unprotected, which is very silly in 2025 to have a class have unprotected debuffing that is absolutely mandatory, let alone that class be a gauntlet. A gauntlet with an unprotected evasion buff is not a good gauntlet to have. Second thing is the unprotected 2 buffs now. First from Somersault, which also gives us, where is it, 20 DP, 20 AP, and of course the Sweeping Kick, which also refreshes that to 20 AP. So we have two AP buffs that are both unprotected, and I think a Forward Guard is very smart on one of them, or a Super Armor on Sweeping Kick. I can't imagine PA not going into this direction. So yeah, this is crazy. An AP buff that has absolutely no protection, 2 of them, is a little bit comical. And the evasion debuff, sorry, the evasion buff has also no protection, including on our Rabam, which is Nature's Wrath. It is also unprotected. And a very cool thing to make, a very good sacrifice in my opinion for Sec Mystic would be probably to make Nature's Wrath protected, and the lower damage of it with the lack of crit rate to make up for the lost damage of Unbridled Wrath. So essentially think of it like this. You play with Nature's Hammer, it's protected and you get defensive. You get Unbridled Wrath, it's protected, but you don't get the defensives, but you get the damage. It's a good trade-off. It's something very interesting that I think Prolobis can execute. So yeah, another thing is the absolute crazy dependency in PvP specifically on Raging Wolf. Raging Wolf has been reworked to be essentially a budget tranquility in a sense. It also gives you your attack speed. So think of it like Raging Wolf is a mixture of tranquility and crouching wolf, which is funny and I think it's good, but having this on a 1 minute cooldown for 3 shards, and you know, it's just the dependency of Suck Mystic on 3 shards is crazy. So in PvP, what they should do is provide her with a way to generate martial spirit shards, and for that generation to not always have to be from, you know, being into the blob of things and in a carpety sense. So now that we know where Suck Mystic is in terms of where she is in terms of her PvE range, why is she clunky right now despite this, and what type of changes need to be addressed, just to summarize this for everybody interested. Definitely, Pearl Abyss right now need to really work on a few things, and that is Death Clone chain ability into Wave Orb. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, which is weird. Considering how important Death Cloud is after the buffs, I would say definitely that you should really put some effort into in that direction. So with all of this, as I said, Suck Mystic is perfectly A tier. She is definitely A tier. Would you have to go out of your way to play her? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, she's just not that class. What I think those changes did was they showed some love to the Suck Mystic community that wishes to play with Succession Mystic, and overall just go throughout the entirety of the kit and make things functional for PvE. For PvP, obviously give us protection onto our buffs and not debuffs, but yeah, just give us protection on our evasion, give us protection on our AP buff, and I think Mystics will be very happy. So imagine it like this: you can just go with this protected for the entirety of its duration and actually generate spirit shards for PvP. That's going to be great. Imagine that you can go with a full kick and a tornado afterwards to generate those shards. That's going to be great. In PvP, Suck Mystic right now suffers from just not having enough shards, and it is absolutely impossible to get 3 shards while skirming with people unless they're melees and they're fight you in your face. The moment you have to start chasing people, you're just, it's just worthless. It's just worthless. Go play Awakening. So yeah, guys, this is my take, the final verdict of it. I think Suck Mystic is very healthy in PvE. She still needs a lot of PvP changes. She still needs a lot of PvE changes, but it's up to Pearl Abyss to decide whether or not they want to make this into an S tier grinder again, like back in the Olin era, where it was either Suck Striker or Suck Mystic as DPS, and then you would have another AoE kind of class to carry the AoE side of things. So that is my take. Is Suck Mystic essential right now for gameplay? Absolutely not. Is Suck Mystic mandatory? Absolutely not. Is she playable? She is absolutely playable, and it is a little bit of the, if you're a Mystic main, you'll probably be Succession and not Awakening in PvE. Love you to death, guys. Mwah. Much love, and I will see you soon. I won't be doing any videos because it's holidays, and I'll be going out into the countryside, and we'll see each other after the holidays. Have a wonderful time with your family, friends, whoever you'll be celebrating. If you are celebrating, of course, the holy times, and we'll see each other soon. See you guys. Enjoy yourselves. Bye bye.